Okay, morning everyone. Welcome to the briefing on Friday the 6th. Sun shining out there, so we're all good. Yeah, I have to say, put the predicted midday chart up there. Yesterday when I showed this, it was sort of sat across the middle of the country, so it does appear to have stalled somewhat and is sitting over Ireland at the moment. It is quite active. Certainly raining quite heavily across Ireland and northern Scotland at the moment. I think when it does get to us, which I assume is going to be overnight, it'll probably peter out a little bit. So I can't imagine there's going to be too much rain on it. Anyway, what we got is a westerly airflow. Isobars have cramped together a little bit more than yesterday, so wind has picked up a little bit. Upper wind's a bit stronger by the looks of it. But we sort of underestimated the wind yesterday. I sort of said it was going to be 5 knots on the ground and 10 knots at flying heights, and it was a bit stronger than that. So perhaps it's going to be a bit stronger today. Still got high pressure, giving a reasonable amount of stability in here. And the TAFs, well, Farnborough's fairly short, 270 degrees, 4 knots. I think it might be a bit stronger than that. Today, looking at other forecasts, 6 or 10 knots, I suspect. Few at 4,500 feet. That would be nice. Don't think, looking at other forecasts, I can quite get 4,500 feet out of the forecast. Gatwick are not really giving much at all in terms of Cloud-based. They're just saying Cav okay, and Heathrow few at 3.5. I'm looking at maybe 3.5 above sea level, more like about 3,000 feet above Lasham this afternoon. Maybe a little bit more, but not much. And most places, I say, showing westerly winds. The upper winds, say across the centre of the country, 15 knots, and down to the south of us, 15 knots. I think it might be that, and maybe a little bit more, looking at the spacing on the isobars. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see 15, 18 knots at flying heights, but generally from a west or southwesterly direction. SatPic shows these little bits of cloud burning off now. You can see, go back there, you can see, look out the window, anybody's close to the window, it's beginning to break up. And what you've got is the fairly solid stuff over Ireland, and this is the front here. It's quite wide, as you'll see on the rainfall radar. No rain over us, but if I just pan it out to Ireland, that's quite an impressive cold front. But as I say, I think it's probably going to fizzle out a little bit when it gets to us overnight. Temperature-wise, I said 17 yesterday. Looks like a similar day today, really. Same sort of numbers. That's certainly what I'm working on. It would be great if it got to 18. A little bit more cloud base, and plumbing those numbers into the ascents for today. This is the predicted at sort of 1 o'clock. As I say, it really is showing small amounts of cumulus, 2 to 4/8, at about 3,000 feet above Lasham. Maybe a fraction higher, but not much. I suppose if I put in 18 degrees, you might get a slight increase in the height, but not very much. I think it's it's going to be reasonably soarable window for a few hours. But obviously you've got the frontal system approaching, so that may start to change the air mass. And looking at the sort of 4 o'clock predicted ascent, all seems to be going rather wrong. You've got the lines close together up here, so obviously lots of high cloud and cirrus coming in, and then it all turns a bit funny down here, starting to go sort of what appears to be sort of very cloudy in the sort of 3,000 to 5,000 foot mark. So I think, yeah, it's a sort of shorter day than yesterday, that's for sure. And by 6-7 o'clock, starting to see the influence of probably the fronts heading our way. That's definitely frontal by 9 o'clock tonight. So I think a shorter weather window today, 11 till 2 to 4 o'clock. So if you work on that and slowly improving, I think the only thing that the Larkhill sounding shows us is there was it says it will take about 11-12 degrees to break. Well, it was a 10 degrees on the car thermometer this morning. So it won't be very long before that's broken. And there's a bigger gap than there was yesterday between the two lines. So a little bit drier than yesterday, so less cloud. Top Meteo, I think, is probably about right, actually. It's showing the sort of low cloud first thing in the morning at 9 o'clock, and then that thins out. They're not really showing any cumulus over us until late morning, but cumulus further to the west. I think there will be when it starts off, perhaps little bits of low level cumulus, and then that will dry out a little bit and we will have a blue patch, and then we'll start to get cumulus, I think, over us. I think late morning, proper cumulus, usable cumulus, and then for a few hours, quite nice. They're showing spread out. Didn't see any sign of a strong inversion looking at the actual ascents, but I wouldn't be surprised if later in the day see some spread out. And that's where they're looking at the same picture here, where the ascents by 3-4 o'clock are starting to show a very strange air mass ahead of that front. So short cross-country window, I think. In terms of thermal heights, they're coming up with the same sort of numbers by 12 o'clock. Going to 3,000 feet, and then 3 to 3.5. They're showing better in Kent and to the east of us. It looks quite nice, but around our area and out to the west, 1,100-1,200 meters, so just above 3,000 feet. And then by sort of mid-afternoon, I suspect it's beginning to deteriorate. Suggested distance, well, as you would imagine, it's packed into the southeast, really. And to the east and south of us should be okay for a bit, and out to the west, I think it'll be okay for a few hours, and then deteriorating from the west as the front gets here. So, simple forecast, really, straightforward. Generally, club flying briefing. Yeah, nice day for flying, nice day for training. Okay, in terms of airspace, a little bit quieter today. We've got 26, 29 and 30, the only one of relevance. There's paragliding there, equestrian event, not to overfly number 26. Number 29 is, potential fly past, but it's not scheduled for today. So in theory, no relevance for those three. And in the Lasham area and out to the northwest, nothing else that I can see. Further to the north, you've got to go a long way before you get to anything at Sywell. I don't think that's going to be an issue today. Nobody's going to be going in that direction, I would have thought. So quite quiet on the airspace front. Movements, A320 outbound at 12 o'clock is the flight plan, an initial flight plan. So we'll be prepared for that. Could be any time. Who knows? Because I've seen 3 slight amendments to that already today. And that's about it, really, folks. We'll be on 27. Normal place on the runway. I'll set the launch point vehicle up fairly shortly, and I will see you out there.